You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. Ashland County Health and Human Services is partnering with local healthcare organizations to teach residents how to administer Narcan. The training sessions are being held on the first Thursday of every month with support from Tamarack Health and the Brick Ministries. Officials say learning how to administer Narcan to reverse an opioid overdose can be the difference between life and death. It's easy to use and can be sprayed into a victim's nose, interfering with the ability of the opioids to affect their body so they can get more help. 2 Stone Lake men are facing charges in Sawyer County after being accused of assaulting law enforcement authorities in separate incidents. According to court documents, 18-year-old Sean Boylou was pulled over after a Sawyer County deputy saw him driving erratically. He allegedly resisted officers while a blood draw was being taken and kicked a deputy in the leg. 23-year-old Ignacio Hernandez allegedly resisted arrest during a traffic stop and cut an officer with a small knife during the struggle. He's also facing felony drug charges. As proposed cuts threaten to reduce federal funding for mental health programs in the state, Wisconsin mental health officials are warning of an increase in anxiety and depression in teen boys. According to the Wisconsin Office of Children's Mental Health, young men have the lowest level of available social support for mental health struggles. A youth risk behavior survey conducted in 2023 also found that over 1/3 of high school boys in the state reported issues with anxiety, and about 1/4 of them reported feelings of depression. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers is now seeking applicants to take over as Barron County Sheriff. Earlier this week, current Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald announced his intent to resign effective June 1st to pursue another opportunity in the private sector with Mosaic Technologies. The newly appointed sheriff will serve the remainder of the unexpired term ending in January of 2027. Interested applicants can apply for the position on the governor's website and can reach out to the governor's Office of Legal Counsel for more information. Nearly half of Wisconsin's college students could be affected by proposed federal changes to the student loan system. The legislation would make changes to repayment plans and cuts to the Pell Grant program for low-income students, including eliminating Pell Grant eligibility for students who are enrolled at less than half-time. Over 95,000 Wisconsin students received Pell Grants in 2024, and half of the students in the universities of Wisconsin receive federal aid. The legislation would also cap graduate student borrowing at $100,000. Governor Tony Evers and the Department of Tourism have announced the release of the new 2025-2026 Wisconsin State Highway Map. The release of the new map comes in honor of National Travel and Tourism Week as Governor Evers travels the state, highlighting calls for increased investment in tourism in his proposed biennial budget. The new edition of the map uses geographic information system data to help motorists navigate the state and features things like state parks, trails, memorials, and recreation areas along their routes. 2 Cumberland residents are facing about 12 years in prison and $25,000 fines following a drug sting operation. According to court documents, 35-year-old Amber Hirsch and 39-year-old Nicholas Schick were charged with felony delivery of meth in Barron County Circuit Court. The pair were arrested following a sting investigation when a confidential informant told law enforcement authorities that he would be able to obtain methamphetamine from them. The confidential informant allegedly conducted controlled buys on July 15th and 18th. A 13-year-old boy was taken into custody after allegedly shooting at Douglas County law enforcement authorities on Tuesday. According to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, authorities responded to a home in the town of Superior on Tuesday at around 4:30 p.m. after receiving reports that the boy was throwing and breaking things. He's accused of telling the responding deputy that he would shoot him before going into the house and returning with a long gun. Authorities say he shot at deputies 4 times before being arrested after about an hour. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is reminding residents to keep an eye on fire conditions and avoid outdoor burning when wildfire danger is high. Spring is the peak wildfire season in the state, and so far the DNR has responded to over 650 wildfires that have burned over 2,200 acres this year. The DNR is also reminding residents that they've suspended burn permits in nearly half the counties in the state. Dry weather, low humidity, and gusty winds across the state are contributing to the prime wildfire conditions. Republican state lawmakers are expected to remove hundreds of provisions from Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers' biennial budget proposal this week. Joint Finance Committee leaders referred to the measures they plan to remove from the state budget on Thursday as reckless spending and policy items. Among the provisions expected to be removed are the establishment of a new tax bracket for residents with incomes above $1 million, additional funding for PFAS remediation, and repealing the state's private sector right-to-work law. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Brewers are at 538 games into the season. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kuska filling in for Mike Clemens. With 4 of their regulars starting the game on the bench, Milwaukee fell into an early hole and never recovered Wednesday, losing 9-1 to the Houston Astros. The only scoring for the Brewers, one of just 4 hits on the game, came from this Eric Haas solo home run.
Haas, a fly ball into deep left center field, and this ball is gone. The Brewers are on the board on the Haas homer.
That call courtesy of FanDuel Sports Wisconsin. Manager Pat Murphy said the Brewers faced a tough pitcher.
The story of the game is the kid for them with the big shoulders. That kid can pitch. You know what I mean? That kid can pitch. That sinker change-up thing or whatever he's got going, that's really, really good. That kid was good, and he dominated us. Now, we had 4 basic under 1-year service time players in there against him.
Murphy said he's frustrated with the lack of urgency that his team had after only being down 3-1 for most of the game.
With this adversity and that kind of stuff, I'm not happy by any stretch because we also haven't played great baseball. And again, we've kind of misplaced our edge on a day-to-day basis. There wasn't the win tonight urgency.
Milwaukee gets the day off today before playing the Rays in Florida this weekend for a 3-game series. Marquette is adding its first varsity sport since 2013. Women's swimming will become the school's 17th varsity sport and will begin competition in the Big East in 2025-26. It's the first varsity sport added since women's lacrosse 12 years ago. The move comes as the school is moving men and women's tennis and track and field to non-scholarship sports offerings next year. Filling in for Mike Clemens, I'm Jimmy Kuska with Civic Media Sports.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. While the summer box office has arrived, there are no anticipated blockbusters opening this weekend, but good variety for your viewing pleasure. Juliet and Romeo is pretty much the same story, but filmmakers opted for pop music instead of iambic pentameter. If horror is your game, check out Clown in a Cornfield. Clowns are creepy, as are cornfields. That's an absolute fright fest, and it is pulling a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it wouldn't be the start of the summer movie season without a good action comedy like Fight or Flight. The film stars Josh Hartnett, who plays a secret agent trying to restore his rep while being trapped on a plane with other secret agents trying to kill him. Also in the action spy thriller realm is the film Shadow Force, starring Kerry Washington, who plays a spy who is also married to a spy, which breaks the spy rules, so naturally they are in danger and must protect their child. If these films don't get you excited, check out Sinners or Thunderbolts. And if you see any of these films, would love to hear about them on Nightlight next week. Let's go to the movies. Comedian Nate Bargatze might not be a comedian for much longer. Despite selling 1.2 million tickets to his stand-up shows last year, he has huge aspirations beyond telling jokes. He just finished hosting SNL for the 2nd time and will host the 77th Emmy Awards. He has multiple deals in various stages of production, including comedy specials, sitcoms, and films, and wants to develop podcasts, music, and more. Bargatze says everything he produces will be family-friendly. Boring! According to Deadline, Bargatze wants to follow in the footsteps of Walt Disney and create a theme park in Nashville called Nateland. This is getting weird. He says the person who is running Disney now is just a businessman who doesn't care about audiences. The future founder of Nateland says whatever he does moving forward, it will be with the audience in mind. He might actually be more ambitious than he is funny. Remember when Hollywood made straight-up comedies? They might actually be back. Friendship opens in a limited release this weekend and stars Tim Robinson as a man who moves into a neighborhood and tries to endear himself to his fellow neighbor dudes, led by Paul Rudd. I've seen the trailer several times in front of other movies, and it absolutely looks cringeworthy and beautiful. It is currently pulling a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. There is certainly no rush in making sequels these days. 36 years between Top Guns, 35 between Blade Runners, and 13 between Avatars. Keeping up the trend is the 1999 rom-com 10 Things I Hate About You, which looks like it's getting a sequel 15-plus years later. The obvious title should be 20 Things I Hate About You, but the sequel will most likely be called 10 Things I Hate About Dating, according to People magazine. Director Gil Younger says there will be a nod to the deceased Heath Ledger in the new film. A release is a ways away as they are still writing the script. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be mostly sunny today with a high in the mid to upper 60s this afternoon. The wind will be light out of the east at only around 5 to 10. Clear tonight, low in the upper 30s to near 40. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high in the mid 70s. We're talking upper 70s, low 80s through the weekend. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temperature 44.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.